here's how I've positioned things, and I looked it up and I thought, man, that makes so much sense. Sometimes bad energies need to clear from you, right? And that could come in many forms, right? I always say that when somebody exits your experience, you don't know what was said behind closed doors. So in your mind, in the front, I'm looking at you, I'm like, Jamie, oh my God, I thought Jamie was like a brother to me. But then we're not in a relationship anymore. I feel as though when you have the positive, thoughts that go out and you wake up, you meditate and you're doing the right steps, sometimes the universe answers for you and you don't need to know what's going on in the here and the now. And eventually it gets exposed.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about. Wait!
Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boy.
So this is Real Talk with Carmen Costa. I've officially figured out that this is maybe our show. I don't think that this is just my show.
I'm just a sidekick.
Because now he's changing his shirt. So I'm a little concerned.
You bug me every single time.
So I'm like...
we do batch recording, so we record 2-3 different shows sometimes. Carmen always brings her own shirts, and she always complains that I always have the same shirt.
No, but we do well together. I feel like we do really well together.
Okay,
so
but I brought a different shirt today, and she complained.
I didn't. So anyways.
You just did. Rewind.
Jamie's got a new shirt. Look at that. He changed. It's the Jamie and Carmen show. Anyways. All I'm saying is, I think this is officially our show. I'm kidding. No, we're going to take this on the road. So we are seriously going to take this on the road. Both of us are going to take this on the road.
Across Canada?
Across Canada. Across Hamilton.
Oh, man.
Anyways, today I wanted to talk about something important. I know we assume, like I always say, like I feel like I'm always doing that. I'm like, guys, stay positive. Stay positive.
You're that annoying person that says positivity all the time, which is good to be that person.
I am. But here's the thing, because I started to realize you learn about this stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, positivity. But here's the truth, though.
Say what?
Positivity.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm just saying, though, I think everybody needs to realize, because we do this, and I know you have done this, it's going to get better next week, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to stay positive. If I send out positivity out into the universe, it's going to get better next week, right? We do that. So I just wanted to make people aware of some stuff, right? So we as human beings, we always go through so many things, right? There's always situations. We could be having the best week and then all of a sudden something goes left, right? And you don't know, you wake up and you're groggy and you're like, you're not feeling good, or like, I don't know, you're under the weather or something like that happens. I want, and this is how I started to think about things, because I was like, holy, and I remember Shannon and Lisa and Amanda, they were like, okay, next week it's going to get better. Because one of us in the group was either sick or, or not feeling good, or something's going on with our kids and blah, blah, blah. So here's how I've positioned things, and I looked it up and I thought, man, that makes so much sense. Sometimes bad energies need to clear from you. Right? And that could come in many forms, right? I always say that when somebody exits your experience, you don't know what was said behind closed doors. So in your mind, in the front, I'm looking at you, I'm like, Jamie, oh my God, I thought Jamie was like a brother to me. But then we're not in a relationship anymore. I feel as though when you have the positive, thoughts that go out and you wake up, you meditate and you're doing the right steps, sometimes the universe answers for you and you don't need to know what's going on in the here and the now. And eventually it gets exposed. Remember how...
Hold on, explain that one again to me.
Okay, so you are positive. So I'm positive. So I'm going to give an example. I'm going to give my life. So I'm all about positivity. I wake up in the morning. I do my meditation. I put out gratitude. And then sometimes, and lately, I'm not going to lie, the last 3 weeks has been pretty rough. So, and then you're annoyed. You're like, why is this happening to me? Why is this going on? I believe that it's bad energies that are being exited out of our experiences. even relationships, when we think, oh, Jamie's perfect for me, but then all of a sudden something happens and you exit my experience, meaning you leave, right? We break up, right? But any relationship breakdown, doesn't matter if it's friends or whatever, or something happens and you're uncertain because you're so certain, no, they're good friends of mine. They're solid. They're solid business partners. No. They exit the experience because the universe heard conversations you didn't hear. So the universe has your back because you're following the routine of, what they say you should do, right? Positive thoughts, meditating, ensuring you're centered, ensuring you're listening to your inner truth and you're doing those activities and you're walking through life.
So no matter if you're thinking a certain way, we need to take into account what else is going around you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like, so I'm going to use my example. We were with a brokerage. Then we broke up and I'm like, why is this happening to me? It was the best thing that ever happened in my life. 6 months later, oh my God, the best, honestly,
but
a blessing.
At
the moment, I was you're lost in that whole situation. The experience is happening. You're lost.
You don't see the end goal, right?
No, you don't. But that's what I'm trying to tell you is sometimes you have to hold and trust. Trust being the big key word here is you need to trust the universe has your back. And I always say this because, I had an experience, I'm not mentioning names, where I was bombarded with, commentary about, who I was as a person and blah, just going on, right? It was probably one of the most saddest moments because I knew that was over, that experience would be over, that relationship would always be over. I wouldn't want that individual or those individuals in my life ever again, right? But here's what I'm saying to you. When you feel like something's off, but then the person's it's so easy to spot fake people now, right? The person's fake up front. They're like, oh, I love you. We're like BFFs. But then in the back, they talk crap about you, right? We've all had that. Comment below if you've had that before or you have that now. Everybody has that.
A ton.
And that's what I'm saying to you is, in my mind, sometimes the hardest relationships are those that are the closest to you, meaning your family, meaning blood, right? Where in your mind, you think people have your back. They never did. They talk ill of you. So at the moment, you go through grief, which we've talked about before, because that's going to be a segment. I know it's batch recording. We talk about grief. That is grief. And it's not just cutting people off because, I have a sixth sense because in the conscious mind, I need tangent proof that something is up before I actually do it. But that's what I'm trying to tell you is when something is said to you and this individual just thought they knew nothing about me. And it was you're hearing things and you believe the things you're hearing. You don't know me as a human being. So
let's use our sixth sense a little bit more. Is that the...
No, I think it's... No, my thing is this...
the gut feeling.
The gut feeling.
Yeah.
But I'm more I'm that person I'll forgive you 10 times until it gets smacked in the face. So I'm not a person so I talk about cutting out negativity. So sometimes people message me, I'm like, that's not what I meant. What I'm saying is with the negativity, right? Meaning when it's smacked in your face, that's me. Whereas Zervain, my husband, is completely different. He will be where if he gets a sixth sense and he doesn't like you, you're done. You're not getting in his circle. Where I'm I got a sixth sense. The universe is warning me. I'm I don't know. I'm more
because you believe in change,
right? I'm a highly sensitive person. That's what I'm telling you. So if I've cut you off, or you hear of me cutting people off, it's because I physically smacked me in the face consciously. It's in my conscious mind, and it smacked me in the face, and I saw it, and I heard it, and it was directed to me. So, acting like the victim of oh, she cut me off. Don't do that, right? Because in the end, the truth prevails, right? And, and the one thing I want to throw out there, I'm going to throw this out there, is this. Never make assumptions and never believe a story when somebody is trying to benefit from it, acting like the victim. And I always do that. When somebody acts like a victim, I'm like, wait a second.
So true.
Yeah, because when you act like a victim and you try to make that person look horrible, then something is up. And I'm like, Why are you knocking that character down and victimizing yourself? There's something up here, because that's a narcissistic behavior. If you look up narcissism, let's put the definition up, it shows you what kind of behavior that is. So I would educate, I always say we're educating you on these podcasts, just recognize the behavior. And if somebody's talking ill of an individual, the chances of them speaking ill of you is like 100%.
Yeah.
So when you leave the room, like I want to leave a room.
They're going to do the same thing.
They're going to do the same thing. I always say to my team, the one thing that's important to me in life, one thing, not money, not anything, it's having my back. If somebody's speaking ill of me, I'm going to hope that somebody steps forward and says, you know what? Slow down there. Like, close your mouth. Like, you don't know her, right? Because the people that actually know me are my center. Like, it's my center. It's my close friends, right? So that's why I'm saying, like, it's kind of sad when somebody says, oh, they know you. I'm like, I don't know that person from a hole in the wall. I don't know them, right? Yeah.
There's a difference between knowing and meeting. And I think people get that confused. You meet someone, you know someone, but you don't.
No, but knowing me on LinkedIn doesn't mean you know me.
Exactly. It's completely different.
And but you know what? Here's
people
something.
Get confused.
They do. And something I do want to say is this podcast probably puts me out there where people are like, yeah, I know her. I get that all the time where somebody will call me and talk to me and they're like, oh yeah, I spoke to Buddy and he told me to come to you and he knows you very well. I'm like, I'll look, and I've caught on to it. I'm like, LinkedIn. I'll go to LinkedIn. I'm like, there it is. There's the individual.
Damn you, LinkedIn.
No, but it's not a bad thing. I'm glad that people are getting, they know me, but, through these podcasts, and it's important, right? So
you were talking about social media and how, we're talking about the LinkedIn thing, right? And how people get confused as they follow someone online and for some weird reason they feel like they know that person.
100%.
And that's where a lot of the confusions come up.
It's kind of weird. And that's what I'm saying to you. When somebody says, oh yeah, they know you very well. I'm like, no, they don't.
No, they
don't. And it's scary, first of all. But second of all, I guess, no, that's just bizarre to me.
It's just bizarre. It's weird. And now with social media, it really opened the doors because everybody's putting all their lives there, right? So you feel like you're a part of that family because you see their
so true
birthday parties, you see their graduation pictures. So all of a sudden, I don't think our brains can like dissect all of these things and separate them.
You're right.
All of a sudden, we're seeing graduation pictures. So we were at the graduation, right?
You were not at the graduation. No, I'm kidding.
You were not there.
No, but and the one thing I did want to mention is, we're coming out of the pandemic. We're coming, and, no masks are needed. Mandates are being lifted, yada, yada. People don't forget. I bumped into somebody in the parking lot at Starbucks and they were like, yeah, you were pretty silent through the pandemic. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't have anything to say. You always act neutral, right? Because when there's arguments on two sides, you don't want to get involved in that. But, I felt as though, and this is a touchy topic, I felt as though everybody believed you were targeting them and you were trying to go against them. So the normal conversations, and I call this, we were in the car and I talked about this, because my husband's like, this generation can't hear things. If it doesn't jive with them, it's like they fall on the floor and start screaming. Like,
there's a lot of groups.
I know, but what I'm trying to say is this. As an older person like me, when my mother-in-law comes to me to give me a suggestion, I take it and I'm like, thank you for the advice. The younger generation, I don't know if it got lost or what happened. If you say something to them, you now become an enemy. And I'm like, I was just trying to help you. And that's what happened with...
They go into defense mode,
but that's what I'm saying. This is what happened with this particular family member where I literally was doing a transaction. I was when I was merging the companies and all that stuff, when we were separating. And the lawyer had said something to me and I'm like, oh, I thought it was the universe telling me to assist somebody, right? And I'm like, oh, okay. And you love and care for these individuals because you grew up with them. You love and care for them. But that young generation, you got to cut off because I cannot associate, and I don't want my kids to be like that. Like, we were raised up, and listen, some of my aunts and uncles, shout out to my aunts and uncles, I have no problems with them, But sometimes they were like, oh my, like aunts and uncles, you're like, oh my God, they're so annoying. I would never step out of line to say anything to my aunts and uncles because that's just horrifically disgusting and disrespectful. Like if a young generation talks and it's like, listen to the advice this older generation has because they've passed through what you're going through. And if you think they haven't, oh my God, like you're not the only one. Like sometimes I'll say something to even my stepdaughter. I'll say something to her and she's like, I know. I'm like, how do you know?
Yeah, kids, that's their favorite.
But I'm like,
word.
how do you know? I'm like,
I know.
But that's what I mean. Like, but that's that generation where, nothing like, Alana's nothing like that. Like she's not disrespectful or anything, but it's the I know.
But we thought it though.
We did, but you didn't say it.
We never vocalized
but
it.
That's what, so me and Zervain were driving. We went for a date night last night, which I'm going to talk about rest and, spending time.
Of the date night?
We don't. We don't. I'm like guilt mom, right? So I'm like, oh my God, we're out and the kids love this restaurant. Why are we here by ourselves? What's wrong with me?
Right? That happens to us as well. We're like
the worst.
One night that we can go out.
One night. I just wanted an hour and a half before our vacation. That's all I want. I'm like, can I spend one? Because then the kids have our attention, right? So, but I was saying about the younger generation, and that's what I'm trying to say is I swear, and it's sad because nowhere, my relationship with my brothers and sisters and the issues I have with them does not get carried down to like another generation. I wholeheartedly, with all my heart, no prejudice, no nothing. If anybody knows me and my nieces and nephews that do know me, I will always have their back and I love them so much. They're like baby. Like I saw them as babies. Shout out to Curtis, who was the first baby born. I loved him so much. Like, and till this day, every time I see him, my heart is like so full for him and Brendan, the older ones that, came, and Felicia, Angelica. I feel like now I got to name 22 nieces and nephews.
Every single one.
Yeah.
Everyone.
But what I'm saying to you is it's sad though, the disrespect now with that generation. Like when that situation happened, I was like, the first thing I thought about was, oh my God, my dad would roll in his grave. Holy bullish. That's all I thought was, and that's all I cared about was knowing my dad, because he knew the issues I would have with some of my aunts and uncles, and I always held respect. It didn't matter because it was what happened between my dad and his family. It's not for me to be involved. Dad's gonna vocalize it because he's in the house. So now I know what some brothers and sisters think because,
Yeah, so but it's not your problem.
No, it's not. And that's why I'm saying, like, with my kids, I'll say things like, I do not, whatever issues I have with my brothers and sisters, I always speak highly of my brothers and sisters because that taught me a lesson. And I always I thank God that I learned this lesson. And when they're young, and I talk to my kids about it, where when my kids see my brothers and sisters and my nieces and nephews and godkids, they love seeing them. They remember them in a good note because I'm not going to do the generational, negative, impact on the kids. That's wrong.
That's a really good advice.
You need to end it and break the generational curse because that is a curse when it comes from generation to generation where the jealousy that you feel for that sibling or whoever, it's disgusting. No sibling owes you anything. I owe none of my siblings nothing. I owe them zero. And they need to understand that. And they do. Some do. So that's the thing. My successes, my hardship, nobody helped. I went through this with my family. So, and it's sad. If I become a multi-billionaire, I get to decide what I want to do with my family, my kids and that, not anybody else. So if that's what you're harboring and stuff like that, I feel pity and sad for you. And that's what I'm saying with the certain, people that have come to me and have said, and whatever has happened in the past, it is a sad, sad, sad thing. And if that generation assumes they have a right to speak, zero rights to speak upon something that you were never involved in. You know what I mean? And that generation doesn't like to hear if they're wrong. And in life, you're never always right. And if you're walking through life and you assume you're right all the time, your life will be pitiful and sad.
So the bottom line is that you shouldn't, even if you have an opinion and you want to vocalize it, don't do it around your kids because that's going to be passed on.
It's the worst. And listen, my kids, one time, Delia, shout out to my sister Delia, funny. My mom was talking about something. And my son just showed up, and it was my mom that said it. And he said something, and I'm like, my mom literally just said it like 5 minutes ago. My mom was there for Zendaya's birthday, and I'm like, that is so weird. But never say something if you don't want it out of those doors, because it's going to happen. But it's called the generational curse. I've made that up. If that's an actual thing, let's put the definition up. But honestly, it's the curse. You're putting me on the spot here. What if I can't find the definition? This is going to be blank. No, but I believe that the generational curse exists, and it's time for us to break it. Break it with your own kids. Don't allow it to happen. And please, for the love of God, teach your kids they're not always right. Because if you are 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 to 25 to whatever, and you assume you are right all the time, holy bolas, your life is going to be hard.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard.
We all love our kids. We all think that they're the best, but we can't put that in their mind all the time. They need to also realize that there are chances that they are not the best at whatever they're doing, right?
100%.
And because otherwise you're setting them up for failure, because
100%.
Life is not easy. Life brings challenges.
Yep.
And if they're not ready emotionally to take on those challenges, they're going to have problems.
Lots of problems. That's what I'm saying. They're not going to know how to communicate with individuals.
Yep.
When somebody comes over and suggests something out of love, it's going to be hate repaid back. And that individual who's on the outside is going to be like, what just happened?
Yep.
Right? And it's sad. So it's not for anybody's cross to bear. Like if you know, like you said, keep it to yourself as a parent. Yep. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to spew hate. So your kids hear it and then your kids bring it forward, and it's a horrible situation. It's sad.
And don't take it to social media, please.
God, please. Don't take it to social media. It's so embarrassing. So embarrassing. Anyways.
You know, these people that...
that's the worst.
Don't do
but
that.
No, I just, you know, I would love to hear from people of any, like, if they have any suggestions on the, you know, I always say generational curse, but I don't know if that even exists. But I believe that, you know, if you have any, you know, questions, concerns, you know, comments. Or experiences. Yeah, I'd like to hear about it. You can DM me, comment below, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. But besides that, I totally respect you listening in. To my team, I always have to mention my team of the segments. Thank you so much for always supporting me and caring for me. I always feel like they all have my back equally. But yeah, so thank you so much and have an awesome day. Iron your shirt. What is wrong with you?
It's fine. I just gotta stay pumped.
It's fine. So my husband goes, I'm off sugar. And I'm like, I'm your chef. Like, how are you off sugar? You're not off sugar.
You're lying.
You're a liar. Es mi torus. Hey, cheers with the cafe. Ching ching.
Ching ching.
Joint on the corner where the big boys play.